Hi, welcome to Revive Recipes. Today I am going to show you how to make a delicious dish that can be used for Easter or anytime you want to make a special breakfast. We're going to make strawberry rhubarb stuffed French toast casserole. I know it's a mouthful, but it's not difficult to make. So come along and join me and I'll show you how to make this wonderful dish. So for today, for our strawberry rhubarb stuffed French toast casserole, I'm going to show you everything we need. But I want you to keep in mind that you can actually make this a blueberry lemon casserole. You can make it an apple casserole or a peach casserole. The options are limitless and totally up to whatever your preference is. So to start, for today, we are going to need a loaf of Italian bread. This is my favorite. It's not spicy. It's just basically the shape. It's the same as French toast. Now, if you have challah bread, you most definitely can use that. Challah is a little bit sweeter. And if you have time and you can slice this up ahead of time so it dries out slightly, that's even better. But if you don't, it's okay. One of the beauties about making this dish is you make it up ahead of time. You can make it up the day before so that you have it ready to pop in the oven the next morning, which is perfect for breakfast or brunch. So we're going to use this bread. You need 2 cups of chopped sliced rhubarb, fresh preferably. If you don't have fresh, you can use frozen. I had frozen, and you'll want to put it in a strainer so that the juices collect down below. 1 cup of sliced strawberries, a packet of cream cheese, cut into little cubes. You can see I've pre-cut this. This is rhubarb juice that I've already strained out of the rhubarb. You need 2 cups of half and half, but I'll explain to you what we're going to do with that. So actually you're going to need probably just a little bit more depending on what kind of rhubarb you use. 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of orange juice concentrate, or you can use orange zest, teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 6 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with the bread. And we're going to cut the bread so that we have half a loaf to begin with. We're going to use the whole loaf, but to begin with, we're just going to cut this up, and we want to cut it into cubes. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put it in this 9 by 13 pan, which I've pre-treated. I sprayed it with a little cooking spray. And we're just going to sprinkle this, separate your cubes. And like I said, if you want to cut your bread up ahead of time and just leave it sit out to dry out, that is going to be the very best thing you can do. Because we want it to be able to absorb all of the moisture that we're going to put in it. All right. Now, we're going to cut up this other half a loaf of bread. All right. So, now The next thing we're going to do is over the top of the bread, we're going to sprinkle our strawberries, which I've already sliced up. This is the cup of strawberries. Now you can add more or less, that's up to you and whatever your taste buds desire. And then I have the 2 cups of rhubarb right here that I've been draining. And I'm going to sprinkle the rhubarb over the top of this. Hi you guys, I wanted to show you really quick, so I'm inserting this in this little clip. My rhubarb is coming up. Let me flip the phone around. Look at that. New life. Don't you just love that? This little rhubarb is coming up. There's another one behind it. And I'm so excited. So that rhubarb is coming up, and it wasn't that long ago. Look over here. See the snow right here? It's still melting from the piles that we had plowed away from the driveway, and it broke the fence because of its weight. But if you can hear, the birds are singing like crazy. It's warm, it's sunny. New life is coming up all over the place. The trees are all budding and green, and spring is here. But as I thought about the rhubarb that we're putting in our casserole dish, I also thought about the rhubarb out here growing in my garden and the new life that is coming forth this spring. And I thought about the rhubarb and how it's bittersweet. When our kids were little, they used to love to take the rhubarb stalk and dip it in sugar and just eat it raw. And rhubarb is like that. It's kind of bitter and sweet. And as I thought about Easter, and Easter is coming, that's a bittersweet thought too, because Jesus died for us on the cross. And that's the bitter part of it. He took our sins upon himself and died, but he didn't stay dead. He came back to life, and he did that for us. And he rose again, and that's the sweet part of it. He took our sins, and we aren't responsible for that anymore. He took it away from us. And so as I thought about the rhubarb with the bittersweet, and I thought about this new life and this new little plant coming up out of the ground, I just had to share this Easter message with you because I wanted you to be blessed. Now, like I said, I'm using rhubarb that I had frozen, a little leafy there, but you can use fresh if you have fresh. That's actually even better. All right, now I'm going to add the cream cheese next over the top of this. Again, you're going to want to add about 6 to 8 ounces of cream cheese. And if you absolutely don't like cream cheese, leave it out. Don't add it. It's not going to hurt the recipe at all. All right, now, next, we're going to mix up all of the rest of the ingredients in this bowl. Turn that out of the way for me. So I've got the 6 eggs here. I'm just going to beat them up a little here. I'm going to add the 1/4 cup of orange juice concentrate. Now, personally, I like this better than just the orange zest. All right, now to this, I'm going to add the cinnamon and nutmeg, the vanilla. We need 2 teaspoons. Now, if you're going to do blueberry lemon, you can leave out the vanilla. When I make the blueberry stuffed French toast, I actually add almond flavoring. 3/4 cup of sugar. Okay, now we want a total of 2½ cups of liquid. And I've got 2¼ cups here and 1/4 cup of the rhubarb that I've already drained earlier. I wanted to see how much I have, because you want a total of 2½ cups. Now I prefer half and half. If you only have whole milk, you can certainly use that. Almond milk works as well. If you're trying to avoid dairy, you can leave out the cheese and use almond milk. Now I'm going to pour the rhubarb broth that I strained into this. And it just gives it that added kick of flavor, you know, like when you add lemon juice to stuff. All right, now I'm going to pour this over everything, but only half of it, because we still have to top this with the rest of our bread. I'll put the rest of our bread in. All right, that's it. Now, the rest of this over the top. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to cover this with plastic wrap. You're going to want to refrigerate this overnight, or if you don't have that much time, you're certainly welcome to refrigerate it for several hours. The idea is you want all the bread to soak up that eggy cream custard that we poured over the top. So here we go. Now we're going to put this in the refrigerator and pull it back out in the morning and pop it in the oven. We're going to bake it at 350 degrees for 45 to 55 minutes. But before we bake it, we're going to sprinkle a delicious crispy topping on the top of this. So I'll put this in the fridge. When I come back, I'll show you how to make the topping. Okay, so now we're going to make the crumb topping for on top of our breakfast casserole. So we'll start with 1/2 cup of flour, 1 cup of oats, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and unsalted butter, which I tried to warm in the microwave, but it ended up slightly melting, which won't matter. We can still use it. Now, if you are going to use salted butter, make sure you do not put salt in your mix here. So we want 1 cup of butter. All right, and we're just going to mix this all up. All right, now if you like nuts, now is the time you would put your nuts in this as well. Pecans are delicious with this if you want to add pecans. Walnuts, if you're making the blueberry, add almonds. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, so this is done and it is ready to set aside. What we'll do with this, again, you can make this up the night before, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in your refrigerator overnight, and then when we pull out the casserole, we're going to sprinkle this over the top of the casserole before we bake. Okay, so we've just taken this out of the refrigerator, And you can see it's absorbed all the liquid. There's no runny liquid left running around in this. So now that means it's ready for the topping. You could choose not to put a topping on it if you don't want a topping. It just adds an extra level of deliciousness, so I think you'll want to do it. And I just sprinkle it across the top on here. Just like that. All right, we'll put it in the oven, let it bake 45 to 55 minutes, okay? Okay. So this looks done. I'm going to take it out. Oh, look at how yummy that looks. Nice and fluffy. Look at that. And crispy. Okay. Now, if you're having brunch or just want to make a change up in your breakfast routine, you can pre-cut this and just set the whole thing out on your table, your buffet. We're going to go ahead and cut into it though, because I want you to see how good this is. And I also made some strawberry rhubarb syrup, more like a sauce that I pour over the top, and this is really yummy too, and it also is great over ice cream. I will include the recipe. If you make blueberry, you're going to want blueberry syrup. If you're going to make apple or peach, you're going to want syrup to match to go with it. So let's just cut this. And then, to add to this yumminess, we are going to pour a little bit of this sauce right over the top. Or maybe a lot of it over the top. So here we are. And you can serve this with bacon, with sausage, whatever you want. Enjoy!